All right, so you've decided that you're going to carry outside the waistband. Well, you have several options that you need to consider. When you go to the gun store, you can see a whole wall, sometimes 2 or 3 walls full of holsters. You'll have them in packages, some will be in bags, and it can be quite daunting. The first thing most people do is they go look for the gun that they're going to be using, right? So they pilfer through all these different holsters and they find one that says gun that I carry, XYZ, and they pull that one off and then they see if there's any more, pull that one off, and then they make that compare, contrast decision. Do I need this one or do I need that one? And since this is the only 2 options that I have, then they go with one. Now, what happens a lot of times is we don't consider how we're going to carry, and we don't consider how we're going to dress. We just buy that holster, and then we make the gun, our dress, and our presentation style revolve around that holster. And that's really the backwards way of thinking about a holster. Okay, we've decided we're going to carry said gun, and now we have decided we're going to carry outside the body. Well, the most typical holster that you're going to find out there is a leather holster, much like what you see here. Leather, real stiff, and then you've got your belt loops, right? Well, you also have sweat guards. It's this piece of leather that comes up, so when the gun is next to you, the frame of the gun is not touching your body. And some people like that. It's a comfort factor. Okay, that sweat guard makes no difference in your presentation. It makes all it does is keep you when you're sweating or the gun's rubbing up against you from irritating your skin or irritating your body from poking into you. So that's another consideration, right? Well, within your leather holsters, you have more considerations. Do you want a full slide guard on your holster? And then do you want a thumb brake on your holster? Like in this one here. This is a partial slide cover. So you can see that the frame extends past the holster, right? So when you're carrying this on body, you can see some of the slide. Now this may be the only option that you have, and so you picked it up. But now I have part of my frame exposed, and then on top of it, I've got a thumb brake that I have to deal with. Okay. Now, I don't mind leather holsters. Here's something you need to consider with a leather. This leather holster, again, is a partial slide cover without the thumb brake. So it doesn't have the piece of leather that goes over the back of the gun. But here's what happens with a leather holster. As you start wearing it more and more, that leather conforms, right? So the heat of your body, the heat of the outside, it starts to make that leather pliable. Well, watch what happens when I bend the leather. Do you see how the opening collapses? Okay, so when you put this holster on, you cinch your belt up, put the gun in, there's enough slack, right, that allows the gun to slide in, but there's still tension because of the belt that's holding the gun from sliding out. Well, that same tension, when you draw the holster, causes that holster to slightly collapse. Now, it's collapsed just enough that you may have some difficulty when you reholster. And we don't want to have an AD, right, an accidental discharge. So we need to be cognizant of that holster collapsing, and we may have to manipulate that holster to get the gun back in. This is one of the reasons I really don't like leather holsters, is because of the pliability, okay? And then 2, when it gets really cold, it stiffens up. So that little bit of flex that you had to hold the gun tight when it's cold outside, you don't get, and it could cause, should you start to run or you bend over in an awkward situation to pick something up, that gun to come out. And it doesn't have to come all the way out. It just comes up out enough that the trigger is exposed. It could come out just enough to where the trigger is exposed, and then your shirt tail or a jacket or a zipper gets caught in it, and it pulls it when you stand back up.